Please join me in Gassho. Namandos, 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 Namandos. Good morning, everyone. Are you okay if I take off my mask? I think I'm far enough away from those right here. So, good morning to those that are here in attendance, as well as all those joining us on Zoom. Welcome to our Sunday morning service, and we'll begin this morning service with a moment of silent meditation, followed by the recitation of the name of the Buddha or the Onenbutsu. Can you all hear me okay over on your Zoom? Okay. A few more people attending, so we'll just let them in first. It's funny because if you attend the temple and you straggle in late, you may not be noticed, but on Zoom I can see exactly who's coming in late and who's here on time. So anyways, we'll begin with a moment of silent meditation, followed by the recitation of the Onenbutsu. Chanting the Bandhana Tisarana, and it is on your screen there. And for those who are attending the temple in person, Bandhana Tisarana is on 325, is it? 324, 325 on the purple seiken, Bandhana Tisarana. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Next, we're going to be reading together our pledge, which was written by Gomonshi-sama, and you'll see it on your screen there. We do not have this in our Seiten yet, so for those here in attendance, you'll just have to look at the screen. Our pledge: breaking out of my shell, I shall carefully share a warm smile and speak gentle words, just like the kind Buddha. Not becoming lost in my greed, anger, and ignorance, I shall be open-minded and act accordingly, just like the calm and peaceful Buddha. Not putting myself first, I shall share in the joy and sadness of others, just like the compassionate Buddha. Realizing the gift of life we have received, I shall live each day to its fullest, like the Buddha who continues to emancipate all. Thank you. And we will now have the chanting of the Jusei-ge. If you're using the purple seiten, the Jusei-ge is on page 83. Namandos, 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 namandos. Page 83. Good morning. We have some, there it is. Okay, good morning. So page 83 of our purple seiten.
Go
It's on page 117. And for those of you that are in attendance, it's on your screen. And this chanting is done so that it's one syllable per beat, except where there's a hyphenation, then it becomes 2 syllables in one beat. But you could follow along. No more notes. No more notes. No more notes. We chant this every Thursday night at our Seiza meditation. So once again, good morning everyone, or welcome wherever you're joining us from. Today I wanted to start off by sharing, I guess, you probably saw it on the news this week about how Captain Kirk went to space, William Shatner from Star Trek, and I found it very interesting because Jeff Bezos, I guess his name, the founder of Amazon, created, along with his company, created the rocket that goes just to the edge of outer space. And he invited William Shatner, the actor who portrayed Captain Kirk on Star Trek, to go on this flight. In fact, Captain Kirk didn't have to pay for his flight. It's very, very expensive, apparently, if you try to go on your own. But he was invited, and the reason why he was invited was that Jeff Bezos said that he was inspired by Star Trek when he was younger to go or to seek out, I guess, to worlds that no one has gone before. And so the Star Trek was one of those TV series that changed much of our culture. Because up until then, they did have movies and whatnot about space, but nothing quite as realistic as Star Trek. And so when Star Trek came along, it broadened the imagination of a whole generation of people. So what was interesting, though, was when William Shatner came back to Earth and they interviewed him, his comment was that he was amazed that he felt like they broke through the blanket of blue, which was our atmosphere, and then they were into this darkness. And he said up above it was all dark, and down below was the comfort of the earth, he felt. And so it wasn't until he actually broke through there that he got a whole different perspective on our earth. And the reason why I share this with you is in Buddhism too, we talk about the universe. In fact, the chant that we did versus reaffirming the vow, the universe comes up repeatedly, how the Buddha talks about, I will outshine all heavenly lights. And when we talk about the teachings, it's giving us a different perspective of who we are. And as I was watching the whole William Shatner news, it reminded me of there's a Japanese TV program, not on anymore, but it was very popular maybe 10 years ago, and it was called Project X. Project X is, it's, how can I put it? I think it's a real guy TV, and I might be getting into some gender troubles here, but it's the romance of usually they're either engineers or people that are creating stuff and how things are developed and the story behind how some of these things were developed. And on this one particular episode, which I found very fascinating, it was talking about the GPS maps. You know, we take it for granted now. We have it on our smartphone, we have it on our iPads, we have it in our vehicles, you know, the navigation device. I'm sure many of us would feel lost without it nowadays. We get into our vehicles and we say, where are we going? And you just punch it into our navigation device, and then off we go. Sometimes we follow blindly the voice that comes out that says turn left or turn right or do an illegal U-turn or whatever it might say. But we follow this. But what was interesting was that this GPS navigation was actually developed in Japan. And this whole Project X was on, the episode was on how it became developed. Okay? And so there were a group of engineers that wanted to develop some kind of navigation system for vehicles. And originally, how they started off was they came up with the idea of using, they got the idea from the military tanks. Okay? So part of the problem about navigation instruments is that if you're at point A and you want to go to point B, let's say from our temple to the Vancouver Buddhist temple, right? It's great if it's one straight line, but as you know, when you're going from point A to point B, you have to turn left, you have to turn right, you have to move all over the place. So what they first designed was this map system where you would have one map on a screen, and it would give a certain area, it would cover a certain area, and you would initially put into this computer on your car your your starting point and your final destination. And why they use the military tanks is that in the tanks they have this what they call gyroscope system where the turrets can move so that the tractors on the bottom, the wheels on the bottom could be one direction, but the top can always turn and face another direction. So with the tanks, even if they're going sideways, they can still aim towards their target. So similarly, what they did was they put this in the vehicles. So they had this gyroscope system where even though you might be going this way, your focus is still on that final point. But the problem with this was that they only had a limited scope of scale. So they would have one map that would cover a certain area. And when you get to the end of that map, you had to slide in. So they actually have pages of maps that you would take out one map from the screen and you would have to put in a different map, the next map on the grid. So as you can see, it's very cumbersome and not that efficient. And then one of the engineers in this group found out that the military, they were developing the drone aircrafts, airplanes that fly on their own. And what they found out was that in order to control these airplanes, the military was using special satellites up in the sky. And the satellites were then able to track their drone airplanes. And from that, they got the idea of using the satellites, not military satellites, but commercial satellites to track where you are. And then the map, it freed up this idea of having to change different maps because the satellites can cover the whole area. So that's how this GPS navigational devices were developed in Japan. And the reason why I'm telling you all this is that when they first started, the focus was on the center of the vehicle itself. But as they developed, they realized if they had an eye up in the sky, they can have a totally different perspective, right? So similarly, when we talk about the Buddhist teachings, this is what it's doing. It's that not eye in the sky, but it is the eye of wisdom that enlightens us. Okay. So when it says, in the verses reaffirming the vows, when the Buddha says, my light will outshine all heavenly lights, this is because we're talking about the light of wisdom that penetrates and enters into our inner self. So through the Buddhist teachings, through the Dharma, it helps us to reflect inwardly. It brings a light within myself to see who I am, to see also the reality of our existence. So, I don't know if you can see this, and I'll show this to the people here too. This is my necktie, and I wear this periodically. Can you all see that? Can you make out the design on this? Can you see this? Very good. I'm sorry, your name is? Satchit, we have a new guest with us, Satchit. Yes, it is Mickey Mouse, in fact. Yeah. So, whoever said Mickey Mouse on there, yeah. It is indeed Mickey Mouse on here. And I wear this hat periodically. Well, I wear it quite often. I like it. I actually like the design, personally. But it's also a reminder to me, okay? I wear it because I want to remind myself not to take myself so seriously, not to think that I am full of wisdom and, so that my head doesn't get too blown out of proportion. So I wear the Mickey Mouse necktie to remind myself of grounding myself. But I think the whole point is that the teachings, the Dharma, is there to help us ground ourselves, to realize not to get so involved in my own self, but to have that different perspective, that different light that shows me that I am part of a much greater whole, and that I must live in that greater whole, in appreciation and in humbleness. And so this whole idea of Captain Kirk going into space and seeing a different perspective, well, we are given that opportunity every time we listen to the Dharma. So I hope that you will take this today to reflect a little bit on your inner self and to realize as the light shines through, the Buddha shows us of our true existence, and at the same time making us realize the interconnectedness of all of us. And so I'd like to close my Dharma talk with the recitation of the name of the Buddha. If I can ask you, please join me in Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Just before we close, so starting this Tuesday night, I will start up my lecture series, fall lecture series, and I will be sending out the invitations later this afternoon. I do have a list of people who had participated in the spring lecture series, and I will automatically send them invitations. But if anybody else wishes to join, please just email me and ask to be put on the list. It's we are doing it at 7:30 Pacific time, and I do apologize for those on the East Coast. Perhaps it might be a little late. But I do record them and put them on our website as well, so you can also watch it if you don't attend in person. And so, yes, thank you all for joining us, and hope to see you either next week or on Tuesday night if you are attending the lectures. Okay, thank you. And if you want to unmute.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sensei.
Bye.
Thank you.
Wonderful Dharma talk.
Wonderful Dharma talk. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks very
Sensei.
much.
It was very interesting.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Leave that way.